All right, y'all. So let me break down one of the complications that occur with over-the-road truck drivers on a regular basis. Look at this parking area, okay? I'm at a truck stop. It's a small truck stop, so the amount of spaces are limited. From where I left to get to here, you have to travel about 50 miles. My particular truck is governed to 65 miles an hour. In other words, the maximum speed that I can achieve is 65 miles an hour. So 50 miles, that's what? That's about, I want to say 46 minutes or so. I don't know what it is exactly. If you're traveling over the road, part of your responsibility as a driver is to find where to park at the best possible time. This is something that escapes the minds of brokers and dispatchers. Not my dispatcher. My dispatcher is cool. But I had a conversation with a broker 2 days ago, and it let me know right then and there that what I suspected was actually true. At least for this broker that I was talking to. They had no clue about how the hours of service work. So we have strict guidelines as to how many hours we can drive, which is 11 hours within a 24-hour period. And within that 24-hour period, once we drive 11 hours, we have to take a 10-hour break. With a truck governed at 65 miles an hour, you could probably average somewhere between 48 and 52 miles per hour. In other words, in 10 hours, I could travel anywhere from 480 miles to 520 miles. That's very simple math. That's 10 hours. Like I said, we have 11 hours, so we have that extra hour, so you can add another 48 miles or 52 miles to that if they drive the full 11 hours. And that's the average without traffic. What? Yeah. Which is something that, another thing that brokers and some dispatchers don't factor in. That's a problem. That's a serious problem. Because a lot of times these brokers set appointments, but they're not taking into consideration those two things that I just finished mentioning. So if you think traveling 500 miles between North Dakota and whatever it is south of North Dakota for 500 miles, I don't know just how far you would reach, maybe Iowa or something like that. If you think that that's the same as running from Boston down to, let's say, Maryland, Baltimore, you're completely confused. You have no idea. You're clueless. It is nowhere near the same, because the amount of traffic that you're going to encounter from Boston to Baltimore is way different from whatever you'll encounter from North Dakota down to Iowa. Very different. And these are the type of things that have to get factored in, and they usually don't. So what happens? Once you're traveling, you got to scramble for a spot. If you get to 6 p.m., there's a good chance you'll find a parking spot. If you go beyond 6 p.m., you're going to wind up having to get creative. Now, these trucks over here, over my shoulder, if you look over my shoulder, they're parked in an area that's not a designated parking spot. However, there's an exception for these guys. The trailer that this guy has is called an RGN. So they'll make exceptions for those type of trucks because they have to stop at sunset. They can't continue. That's the rule. They cannot drive at night. So they have to pull over, and wherever they pull over, the truck stop has to accommodate them. See, this guy's up. He's up against the sidewalk there. However, these guys over here, and these are oversized loads, so these guys are flatbeds and step decks. They can't go beyond sunset. They can't keep driving. They got to stop. However, if you have one of those trailers, refrigerated trailers or your regular box trailers, if you don't stop by 6 o'clock at night, anything after that, there's a good chance you're going to struggle to find a parking spot, and you're going to have to get creative, just like these guys are creative. But they have permission to be creative. We don't. Dry van, that's what I meant to say. So those box here, that's a dry van, okay? That's a dry van. It doesn't have a refrigerated unit. So a dry van or a refrigerated unit, even a tanker, if you're not looking to park by 6 p.m., anything after that, and see, here's where it gets complicated. And again, brokers and dispatchers don't factor these things in a lot of times. I went to a delivery. And I arrived at that delivery at 11:30 in the morning, and they didn't finish with me until 6 p.m. Once you start your clock, that time keeps ticking. It doesn't stop. So that used up 6.5 hours of my work hours. And once I was done there, I had to go to the nearest spot, park, even though my delivery is for, 7 o'clock in the morning. But if I continue to drive past 6 p.m. to get close to where I'm delivering, I may not find a parking spot, and life will get complicated real quick. So, folks, those are some of the things that truck drivers have to encounter. Wait.